Mute, Duncan Jones, Netflix, 2018. There's going to be spoilers. Because the internet loves a good list, I've divided my review into 10 digestible parts. Call them critique nuggets if you want. Mute is the story of Leo, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who as a child lost the ability to talk in a boating accident, which, by the way, how the hell did that happen? He managed to fall out of the boat with his family inside. Was he swimming? It's never explained. We catch up with Leo living in a futuristic Berlin, which might as well just be called Blade Runner, in that there's flying cars, it's raining all the time, and also the soundtrack's full of those kind of Brian Eno, David Bowie 1970 soundtracky synths. The film follows Leo's pursuit of his smurf-haired girlfriend Nadira, whose disappearance might have or might not have something to do with a call girl operation, which is really convoluted and turns out to be a red herring. Mute is Duncan Jones's fourth film after Moon, good, Source Code, good, and Warcraft. Moon actually connects to Mute via a Sam Rockwell scene that takes place in a coffee shop where the Alexander Skarsgård character actually turns his back to the footage, which is supposed to be a reflection on Leo's Amish anti-technology upbringing, but which is actually quite disrespectful because Moon is a much better film and doesn't deserve to be referenced in this mess of a movie. Because Mute is a mess. Just like the last two Netflix mega releases, Bright and Cloverfield Paradox. Like those last two films, Mute seems to have a good idea at its heart. Amish, Luddite, in science fiction, Blade Runner-ish future. There's a good idea there. That's enough for him to be an outsider, but no, he's got to be Mute as well. I don't think it's a bad performance by Skarsgård. I mean, what else can he do with this material? Ditto Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux, who are cast as the film's sort of antagonists. Apparently Jones wrote, or at least conceived of this film 16 years ago, and that's what it smacks of. A very young scriptwriter who's trying to cram everything in, but not explaining any of it. Paul Rudd is apparently an AWOL American soldier, maybe, whose main arc before the twisty ending is trying to get his hands on a forged passport, while simultaneously slowly coming to the realisation that Justin Theroux is a paedophile. In real life, one look at Justin Theroux's hair in the movie would have told him that. The supporting cast, meanwhile, are involved in a competition for worst accent of all time. In trying to convince us that this future Berlin is like a melting pot of cultures, all Duncan Jones succeeded in doing was making my ears bleed. The film doesn't set up its world properly to begin with. Leo and Nadira are supposed to be madly in love, but how long have they been together? Leo's never been to her apartment, and Nadira has no idea that he owns a workshop just down the road from his apartment. Leo's carpentry hobby is, I suppose, meant to make him seem more Christ-like, which is pretty funny when you think that he ends the film on a murderous rampage using the beautifully carved mahogany bedpost he made for Nadira. At one point in the film, Leo and Nadira actually have sex in the workshop with the doors open so that anyone can walk by and see them. Why? Why? That's it, isn't it? Why? Why any of it? Why do we spend so long with Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux's characters? I thought at the start of the film the dynamic between Rudd and Theroux was going to be like those two weird scorpion assassins in that old James Bond film, but no, they're undercover underground surgeons? Occasionally. Rudd's relationship with his daughter seems to redeem him, even if he leaves her in whorehouses, and he's an absolute arsehole to everybody else. Why? Why? Why the ending? Leo kills Paul Rudd's character, who we find out murdered Nadira, who actually was the mother of Josie, his child. Okay, we kind of want Paul Rudd dead, but we don't necessarily want him to die thinking that Justin Theroux is gonna go upstairs and abuse his daughter. Which Theroux could do, but instead of that, he goes outside, knocks out Leo, and then fixes his voice. Why? Because he wants to hear Leo say sorry for murdering his friend. And then he's going to kill him? Doesn't seem like a necessarily good use of your time there, mate. Fixing someone's larynx and then throwing them off a bridge. Finally, of course, it doesn't work and the pedo gets it. Hurrah? Other observations. Robot pole dancers? No. Also, this film has got one of my cliche bugbears. It's when a character wakes up really groggily and then looks to their side and sees that the person they've been sleeping with isn't there, but still feels the need to put out their arm and pat the duvet. That big blonde guy, Heavy, straight out of Clockwork Orange. Great look. That scene where Leo steals a car and then chases a hover car which is going above his head, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I know he's driving recklessly, but if you could keep up with a hover car, if it was almost the same speed as a normal car, why would anyone use them? Overall, I'd rate Duncan Jones's Mute 3 rotor blades to the throat out of 10. In interviews I've seen, Jones looks like a lovely guy, and I actually do wish him all the best. The film had some nice ideas. It reminded me a little of Southland Tales, which is another probably over-ambitious film, which was the director's follow-up to Donnie Darko. Either way, Duncan Jones desperately needs his next film to land, and whether it will or not at this point remains moot. Bit of very subtle mind control now to play us out. Sub to my channel, if you wouldn't mind. That was actually my very first movie review, so if you'd like to see some more, thanks.